Hi everyone and welcome to Studio Jake. I of course am your host Jacob Airy. Be sure to share this video out no matter what platform you're watching on. Leave a comment, give me a like. I really appreciate it. It really helps me out, especially being a small creator here on YouTube. Now, I'm going to jump right into it because I want to talk about something that has been a part of my life for a very long time. So, I am a huge Batman fan. Everyone who knows me knows this. I've been watching Batman media since I was 6 years old. I remember the OnStar commercials with Bruce Thomas. I watched the terrible Birds of Prey TV show where Batman never made an appearance. I've seen all of the theatrical films. I've watched most of the television shows, especially the animated stuff. I actually loved Gotham. I'm one of the Gotham Defenders. I thought it was a good show and whatnot. Now, we have Matt Reeves, who is an incredibly talented director. He's taking the reins as the director of the upcoming film, The Batman, due out in March. So, I love Batman, and like I said, Matt Reeves is a talented director. Robert Pattinson, who will portray Bruce Wayne, love him as an actor. He has certainly done a great job of moving himself away from Twilight. There is no question about that. Now, I do think that his casting was DC Comics and Warner Media going, Bat. Who else has played a Bat before that's kind of young? Oh yeah, Robert Pattinson. I do think that it wasn't done with the idea of Robert Pattinson being talented in mind. I think that was the idea. And I think Colin Farrell is going to do great as the Riddler. I was a little hesitant, but after seeing his makeup and prosthetics, I think he's going to do good. Paul Dano, excellent as the Riddler. I'm going to wait and see Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon. I think he would have made I think he would have been better playing Lucius Fox or Mayor Atkins or Commissioner Atkins, whichever role you see him in. Crispus would have been a good role for him. But you know, but I'm willing to give it a try. And same with Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. I'm kind of hesitant on. I would have preferred maybe someone different to portray Catwoman, but I'm willing to give her a try. I do think that the guy who's playing Alfred, oh man, I'm going to forget his name now, but I do think he was in Lord of the Rings. He directed Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Andy Serkis. I do think Andy Serkis's talent is wasted portraying Alfred. He's just such a good villain actor. I think they would have done better casting him in a villainous role, but that's just my opinion. Now, I am excited to see this. I have watched the teaser trailer from the DC Fandom. I've seen all the main trailers. I've watched most of the TV spots, everything in between. And the marketing campaign that Warner Brothers is doing for this film is good. They're doing a good job. I really think that they're nailing it with the fans. The problem is every time Matt Reeves or Robert Pattinson opens their freaking mouths, it makes me want to scream so loud you can hear me in Gotham City. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. So, first of all, at the first DC Fandom, where they premiered the trailer, and of course it got delayed because of stuff going on with lockdowns that were unnecessary and all this, they had they showed that first little teaser trailer, and Robert Pattinson introduced it, and it looked like someone had just told him he's going to have a root canal, and he just didn't act excited. And every subsequent interview for the next year, he acted like his prostate was going to be examined right before every interview. There was no excitement, and so that kind of made me worried a little bit. However, the end of 2021 comes around, the beginning of 2022 comes in, and he's totally changed his tune. Now he's acting excited, and he's excited to be a part of Batman, and excited to be a part of this fandom, and which I really appreciate. But then Matt Reeves has to open his big trap. And what does Matt Reeves say? Batman is not going to be based on Batman. Bruce Wayne, or how they're going to frame Bruce Wayne, is he says, I'm basing it on Kurt Cobain. Okay, Kurt Cobain was a singer-songwriter who died very tragically. Why is Bruce Wayne being based on him? Why not make it, Matt Reeves, if you want to tell a story based on Kurt Cobain, why not make a Kurt Cobain biopic? And you'll understand what I mean. It's because everyone looks at these comic characters, even people who are into films who kind of like them, and they want to put their own framing on them. Now, Nolan did not do that with The Dark Knight. He did a really good job. Obviously, it had his famous style done, but Nolan at least honored the comic books, honored even Batman the Animated Series. Every Dark Knight trilogy film has a reference to Batman the Animated Series. I don't know if that was unconscious or not, but there was. Um, and uh, and he at least got the framing right for The Dark Knight specifically. Now, Batman Begins and The Dark Knight Rises certainly had more Nolanisms in it. And we definitely saw that with Tim Burton's films. You know, you had Batman killing bad guys very willingly. Um, Joel Schumacher kind of took the camp from the 60s and expanded on it. And then, of course, you had Zack Snyder, who just wanted to portray the Punisher for some reason, not Batman at all. Batman certainly never cried over his mommy with Superman. And, you know, I don't get why they have to try to take a real world scenario and frame it around these characters. Batman has had over 80 years. We're going into 90 years, folks, of how different writers have portrayed him. We had the early Bob Kane and Bill Finger. We have Frank Miller, which is everyone's favorite for some reason. Which I like Frank Miller's work, but I'm also kind of like, yeah, but there are other ones. Then, of course, we have Denny O'Neil and Chuck Dixon and Scott Snyder. I'm telling you, Bruce Wayne has been written out the wazoo, and I just think that it's limiting to say we're going to take this real world scenario and apply it to the Batman. Batman is a work of fiction. Sometimes it's noir, sometimes it's science fiction. It depends on the writer and the world they're trying to create in the film, but still, or in the comic book, but still, you don't need to take a real person like Kurt Cobain, who was a very talented singer, songwriter, all that jazz. No shade at Kurt Cobain, but I just think that it's a mistake to do this. And they're also trying to do this with the Riddler. They've made comments that they're framing him similar to the Zodiac Killer. Okay, Matt Reeves, make a Zodiac Killer movie if you want to tell the Zodiac Killer story. Yes, I already know there's several, whatever. My point is, I think that with the Riddler, there is also a treasure trove of ideas just from the comic books. There's no need to take this real world application. And I know that's in right now because a bunch of people who aren't comic book fans are raising fusses on social media about how, oh, we want these characters to be more real so we can identify them. The truth is, these comic book characters weren't made for you to identify with them exactly. That's just not the way fiction works. Especially, it's supposed to be heroes that you aspire to be, heroes who do things that you can't. And there's also been this weird pushback about Bruce Wayne being a billionaire. I'll take people who've never read the comic books for 800, Alex. Bruce Wayne has used his money all the time in comic books, even recently in the New 52 and Rebirth, to rebuild Gotham City after villains have terrorized it. And Sean Gordon Murphy did this. He made this popular where Bruce Wayne wasn't really using his fortune to help the people of Gotham City, and boo-hoo, and Bruce Wayne isn't really a Wayne. It's sad, and it's pathetic. Batman is not this kind of character. They're also doing this. Now, they're trying to turn it around. DC Rebirth was trying to turn it around a little bit, but they also do this thing where Batman's not a good mentor or a good father figure. Bull malarkey. Yes, Batman was hard on him, and yes, some of them developed some strain, but Batman is still a good mentor. He's trying to teach his wards how to survive, which I think is very admirable. And on the subject of realism, it's not just me who has commented on this, so forgive me for looking down on my phone. I just want to get this very correct. So David Muzzacelli, I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. He is the brilliant artist behind Batman Year One, and he has a great perspective on this. He said, once a depiction veers toward realism, each new detail releases a torrent of questions that exposes the absurdity at the heart of the genre. The more realistic heroes or superheroes become, the less believable they are. Bravo, spot on, exactly. These characters are meant to be aspirational. They're meant to be heroic. From the first time you turn the pages of Batman in the early days, where he was more like grim and gritty, and he was letting people fall in acid and let people plummet into the ocean and whatnot. And he evolved because they realized he was too similar to characters like the Shadow or Zorro or whoever you want to connect with. He was too pulpy. So Bob Kane and Bill Finger, they adjusted it. They made him more grounded, more focused on detective work, solving crimes. And of course, the 60s, they veered toward absurdity. And then the 80s kind of returned him to his grounding. And the 90s, we had such amazing works by like I said, Chuck Dixon and Denny O'Neil that just blew my mind. Mike Baron, especially, brilliant work. And I think that DC needs to realize this. They need to wake up and realize that Twitter is not real life, and that these nuts that they're catering to, who never read one of the comic books, they saw Batman v Superman and they played the Arkham games, so they think they know everything, or they looked it up on Wikipedia, which, by the way, Wikipedia is full of inaccuracies on Batman and Bruce Wayne. They a ton. It's ridiculous. I should do a video on that one day. But anyway, neither here nor there. My point is that I'm still excited for the Batman. Like I said, Robert Pattinson, brilliant actor. I think he's going to nail it. I do think those earlier rumors... Now, I could see them being true because Robert Pattinson, let's be real, he's kind of a diva. But I do think those rumors were premature. And I do think he's getting fit and ready to play the Batman. Matt Reeves, brilliant director, good storyteller. So I do think that the movie will have merit in that way. It's just, I feel like that this move toward bringing Batman into a realistic character, like David said, you have to start asking questions and you have to come up with answers. And some of those answers, when you bring these comic book characters that were meant for fiction into the real world, they don't make sense. And I feel like that is what is happening. And I hope that the Batman is good. I am optimistic about it. Just based on the trailers alone, I think it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see it. And no ifs, ands, or buts from that perspective. And I really hope that everyone goes out and sees it. I hope we support this film. Spider-Man No Way Home certainly gave me hope again in regards to these superhero movies. And I'll just say one more thing on this. Whenever you bring a fictional world and you try to make it more realistic, even if it's one that's based in the real world, so, you know, kind of like The Shadow was, or Doc Savage, but they still had these fantastical elements in it that grip the reader, that they have these key points that make you want to identify with the person, but not be the person. You want to connect with them on the most basic level so you can say, I can be like this person. I can stop the Joker from committing mass murder. I can solve the riddles. Or, you know, I mentioned Spider-Man. I can swing in to save the day. I can stop that bank robbery. I can web up the bad guys. Whatever the case may be, and whatever your favorite superhero is, I hope that if it ever makes it to the big screen, or if it has already, I hope that it is portrayed in a way that you can appreciate. And there's no better example than Sonic the Hedgehog, right? They were going to try to make Sonic look more realistic, more like a hedgehog, and it ended up being ugly, and it led to a lot of questions that no one wanted to answer. So what did they do? They brought Sonic back to his roots, back to what he looked like, that the fans knew, and they were rewarded for it. Same with Spider-Man No Way Home, and hopefully the same for the Batman and all other upcoming projects related to Bruce Wayne, The Dark Knight. So that's all the time I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like button, leave me a comment below, share this video out, and I would really appreciate it if you chose today to become a subscriber to StudioJake. Thank you so much for watching. You can follow me on all my socials that are in the description of this video, and I'll see you next time right here on StudioJake.